Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
A Chanchal named Goat and her young son, Gulfam, lived on the bank of a beautiful river. Their cozy house stood amidst lush greenery, and they were happy in their little world. Chanchal loved Gulfam dearly and was very protective of him. Whenever she had to leave the house, she would lock him inside to keep him safe. One day, Chanchal needed to visit her sick aunt in a nearby village. Before leaving, she gave Gulfam some important instructions. "Take care of yourself, my dear," she said gently. "I'll try to return before the sun sets. But remember, do not open the door for anyone you don't know." Gulfam nodded and promised to obey his mother. Not far from their house, a hungry wolf had been watching Chanchal and Gulfam for days. He had been waiting for the perfect opportunity to catch Gulfam alone. As soon as Chanchal left, the wolf smirked. "Ah, finally," he muttered to himself. "Chanchal has left her plump little son all alone. Tonight, I'll have a delicious feast." The cunning wolf approached the house and knocked on the door. Disguising his voice, he called out, "My dear grandson. It's me, your grandfather. Open the door. I've come to see you." Gulfam, however, was no fool. He peeked out of the window and immediately recognized the wolf. "This is the scary wolf my mother warned me about," he thought. "I won't let him trick me." With a calm voice, Gulfam replied, "Oh, dear grandfather. I'm so happy to hear your voice. But the back door is locked from the outside, and the front door is too heavy for me to open." The wolf, thinking Gulfam was starting to trust him, said, "Don't worry, my boy. I'll push the door open for you." Gulfam cleverly responded, "Oh no, grandfather. The door is very strong. It won't open like that. If you bring me an iron rod from the blacksmith, I can open the door easily from the inside." The wolf growled under his breath, frustrated that Gulfam wasn't opening the door. But he didn't want to give up on his meal. "Fine," he thought. "I'll do whatever it takes to get inside." The wolf ran to the blacksmith, a bear, and demanded an iron rod. But the blacksmith said, "I can't just give you an iron rod for free. Bring me a hive full of honey, and then I'll give you the rod." Annoyed, the wolf grumbled but hurried to the nearby fields in search of honey. There, he met a farmer and asked, "Could you give me some honey?" The farmer replied, "Sure, I can give you honey, but I'm too tired to gather it myself. If you water my fields, I'll give you a hive of honey." The wolf, desperate for the rod, agreed. He worked hard under the scorching sun, watering the farmer's fields. It was exhausting work, and the wolf muttered angrily, "I didn't know getting a meal would be so difficult." Finally, the farmer handed him the honeycomb. "Here you go," the farmer said. The wolf snatched it and ran back to the blacksmith. The blacksmith took the honey and gave the wolf the iron rod. "This rod is very strong," he said, handing it over. The wolf raced back to Gulfam's house, eager to complete his plan. By this time, Chanchal had returned home and found Gulfam safe and sound. Gulfam quickly told his mother about the wolf and his plan. Chanchal smiled proudly and said, "You're very clever, my son. Let's teach that wolf a lesson he'll never forget. Together, Chanchal and Gulfam dug a deep pit in front of the door. Chanchal then hid behind a curtain, ready to help her son. Soon, the wolf arrived with the iron rod. "My dear grandson," he called. "I've brought the rod. Now open the door for your loving grandfather." Gulfam replied cheerfully, "Thank you so much, grandfather. Please pass the rod through the window." As soon as the wolf handed over the rod, Gulfam pretended to unlock the door. "Wait a moment," he said. "I'm opening it now." The wolf, excited for his meal, leapt towards the door as soon as Gulfam opened it slightly. But instead of entering the house, the wolf fell straight into the deep pit. The wolf howled in anger and fear, struggling to climb out, but the walls of the pit were too steep. At that moment, Chanchal stepped out from her hiding place, her horns gleaming in the sunlight. She charged at the wolf, forcing him to retreat even further into the pit. "Run away and never come back," she warned. Terrified, the wolf managed to crawl out of the pit and ran as fast as he could, vowing never to return. Chanchal hugged Gulfam tightly. "My dear son, I'm so proud of you," she said. "Your cleverness saved both of us today." Gulfam smiled and replied, "Thank you, mother. Now I know I can take care of myself and protect our home." From that day on, the wolf never dared to come near their house again. Chanchal and Gulfam lived peacefully, knowing that their love and cleverness made them stronger together. Moral: wisdom and quick thinking can overcome even the greatest dangers.
Subscribe.